Yo, what's going on, guys? MMA Jack here, back with the second video. First thing I wanted to say is thank you guys so much for the love and support you guys showed on the first video. We absolutely killed it. I think we hit 1,800 views and 175 likes, which I did not expect at all. So thanks to everyone who liked, subscribed, and enjoyed the content. Today we're going to be breaking down the UFC Abu Dhabi main card. It is a 6-fight main card, and there's a lot of great fights for us to go over here. The Saudi oil money is talking. It seems like every card in the UAE in the last year has been stacked, which is a good and bad thing, because then, here in the US we have Verna Jandiroba versus Amanda Lemos fight night main event. But whatever. Let's get into the main card here. First fight, we got Joel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. This is a great fight to kick off the main card. It's going to be a guaranteed banger, most likely. You got Elvis Brenner, who loves to scrap, stand in the pocket. He's not going to back down at anything. He's got a pretty good chin. And Joel Alvarez is the same, but I would say he's a little bit more grappling centered than Elvis is. But I think what this fight really comes down to is, do you think Joel Alvarez is going to be able to get the submission off on Elvis Brenner? Or do you think Elvis, with a little bit more of a reckless style, could put Joel Alvarez away? And it's tough for me, and I think the odds reflect that too here. It's pretty close odds. We got Joel coming in at a minus 185 and Elvis coming in at a plus 154. So the bookies are telling you that Joel will probably have a slight advantage, but it's anyone's game. Personally, I think I'm going to go with Elvis Brenner here. This is not a confident pick. I would stay away if you guys are thinking about betting on this fight. The reason I'm going with Elvis is because we've seen him in fights before, such as the Guram Kutaladze fight. I think he came in there at like a plus 500 underdog or something, and he ended up, I know he was kind of getting whooped for the first round and a half, but Guram is no joke, and he mounted a crazy comeback against him and ended up pulling that fight out. And Elvis is just a dog. I mean, you can never count the guy out. Joel Alvarez has had a lot of canceled fights recently. We don't know how he's coming into this one. Elvis has been very active, and he's proven himself again and again as an underdog, and I think he's going to get it done here on the feet. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a decision, so if you are going to bet this fight, I would double chance that for the fight to end in knockout or decision. But yeah, I'm going to go with Elvis Brenner here. So let's get into the next fight. We got Mackenzie Dern versus Luludinez. I'm not going to waste too much time here. We basically got a striker versus grappler matchup, Dern being the grappler, Lupi being the striker. And I think I'm actually going to lean with Lupi here. I see a lot of people picking Dern, and I think that's just because of her name value and her looks, which more power to you. But I think Lupi is a better striker, and we've seen Dern get melted in her last couple fights. Andrade put her away, and I think we are realizing that she is not a good striker at all on the feet. And her grappling is obviously very good, but I think someone like Lupi could fend it off. I also think Lupi is a lot more determined to the game right now. I think Dern kind of knows that she's not going to get that title shot. And she's obviously, a lifelong mixed martial artist, but I think she's a little bit more in it for the payday. And, she's got her massive Instagram following. I'm sure she's making a bag from all the sponsors and stuff. But I just see more grit in Lupi, and I trust her to take the fight to Dern. So, again, I'm going to advise that you guys stay away from betting on this fight. If you are going to bet, I would say do a decision, because it's a woman's fight, so that's probably going to be like a minus 300. But, that's kind of the only lock we got here. So, let's go into the next fight. We got Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Chiesa coming in here, heavy underdog, which is no surprise to us. If you watched UFC in the last 2 to 3 years, you would not be shocked to see this number at all. Even though Michael Chiesa as a minus 600 favorite is a phenomenon, let's be honest. Basically, here we got another, I wouldn't say striker versus grappler, but more of a striker versus grappler, because Tony, he can mix it all up, but at this point, he's like 50, and couple DUIs later, I think he's on like a 7-fight losing streak. So this is probably going to be a domination by Chiesa. Chiesa's much bigger than Ferguson is. There's a chance Tony catches him on the feet. I mean, I'm not going to count him out. Everyone has a fighter's chance. He did drop Chandler, but he's just getting so old, man. It's really hard to put money on him. I know he did. I mean, he did go the distance with Patty, now that I'm thinking about it, which is a positive. So there is a chance here, and I did see an interesting stat on Twitter. I think it said Chiesa had been submitted like 3 or 4 times from a Darce choke, and Tony has, I don't think he has the record, but he's close to having the record for Darce submissions landed in the UFC. So you know what? Maybe we see a crazy upset here. Maybe it's Tony time again. I'm going to say probably not, because I've thought that with multiple of his matchups in the past. I thought he could beat Patty. I thought he could beat Bobby Green. And we see how those played out. So I definitely wouldn't take Chiesa by knockout because he's got pillow hands. But I do think it's possible that we could see a TKO situation. So, fuck. Give me Chiesa by submission or decision. Double chance. Yeah, that's the play right there. Because Tony's probably too tough to get TKO'd or KO'd. And there's a good chance that Chiesa wins this fight, and I think it will be a finish. So there's my official prediction. Let's go into the featured fight, which is crazy that this is the featured fight. I think it should be the co-main event, but I guess they're trying to push Shara because it's in Abu Dhabi. But let's get into this fight. We got Marlon Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. Banger matchup. I love this matchup. I'm really happy that Davison came up to bantamweight because I think the flyweight division is really shallow, and I mean, I wouldn't complain about seeing the 6th Brandon Moreno fight because they always put on bangers, but there's a lot more competition up here, and he's looked great so far. So here's basically another pick'em fight with the odds. I think here I'm going to lean Figueiredo. The reason I say that is because I think Cheeto's stock dropped a lot after that O'Malley fight. I mean, he got pieced up bad for like 5 rounds. He didn't really even have any glimmer of hope in that matchup. And Figueiredo's looked amazing since he came up to bantamweight. I think the weight cut was really messing him up going all the way down to flyweight. So this is another tough fight to predict because anything could happen. Cheeto does hit extremely hard. And as we've seen in the past, I mean, he put out Dominic Cruz, he put out Frankie Edgar, and he doesn't have necessarily the best caliber of wins, but you can never count him out. He's an incredible striker. I think what's going to lean in Figueiredo's favor here is 1, the grappling, and 2, that it's only a 3-round fight. Usually when we see Cheeto fight, he's in a main event or title fight or some caliber of 5-round fight. And he usually starts very slow. He kind of reminds me of Petr Yan. They kind of take 1 or 2 rounds to download data, per se, of their opponent, and then they start pushing the pace. But this is a 3-round fight. He doesn't have time to do that. And Figueiredo comes out swinging. He comes out aggressive, especially in his last 2 fights, including his debut at bantamweight against Rob Font. So I think that Cheeto could catch Figueiredo and knock him out, but he's got a pretty solid chin, and especially with him not cutting a flyweight anymore, I think his chin will be able to hold up. Cheeto does hit very hard, like I said, but there's always the chance that Cheeto knocks him out, so I'm not going to fully count out Cheeto here. But I think Figgy could also mix in that grappling. I don't think that he could submit him. Cheeto doesn't get submitted very often. So I think for my official prediction for this fight, I'm going to go Figueiredo by decision. Abu Dhabi, are you ready for the co-main event of the evening? Oh, God. I hope Joe Martinez isn't the fucking announcer for this one. I hope they get Buffer out there, which they probably will because it's a big Abu Dhabi card. But let's go into the co-main event. So we got Char the Bullet Magomedov versus Mikhail Olachechek. Very hard last name to say. But I think this is easy money for Chara. I'm not going to say that Mikhail doesn't have a chance because obviously he has a fighter's chance. He wobbled Kevin Holland in his last fight, which was pretty good. Kevin Holland has a pretty solid chin. But Mikhail's got heavy hands, but he doesn't use them very efficiently. Let's just put it that way. He's a big power puncher. And Chara is very calculated on the feet. His boxing is very iffy, Chara's. But his kicks are incredible. I don't think Chara will ever be a UFC champion. I think his ground game is atrocious. And I think he would get stopped by a lot of the guys in the top 5 to top 10 because we saw him even struggling with Trockley, who stepped up on, I believe it was 2 days' notice and wasn't even in the UFC before that. But I think right here is a kind of cherry-picked opponent. Mikhail just came off, I believe it was 2 months ago. He almost got his arm broken by Kevin Holland. and the UFC wants to prop him up in the co-main event spot. In Abu Dhabi, he's got the home field advantage. This is just kind of a step-up fight for him to get him closer to the rankings, and I think we're going to see a finish here. I think Shara is going to probably knock him out in the first or second round. I also saw on the MMA Guru's video, there was some comment that he made. He put a comment on one of his posts talking to one of his fans saying that he'll probably lose the fight or something. So I don't like that mindset coming into it, obviously. He might just be here for the payday. So we're going to go with Shara by round 1 or round 2 knockout. So let's get into the main event here. Solid main event, very solid main event. I've actually been really excited for this fight. I believe it was canceled. It was supposed to take place a while ago, but it was canceled. So hype's been building for this one. I love this matchup. We got Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Magomedov. I'm going to start right now by saying I think the odds are a little bit disrespectful here to Sandhagen. I think we could see kind of a Ikram Whitaker situation play out again. I think Umar's a little bit overhyped. I think he's a lot better than Ikram is, but I think we're seeing something similar unfold where Ikram made the jump from fighting Warley Alves to Robert Whitaker, and now we got Umar, who hasn't even faced a ranked opponent yet, and he's jumping all the way up to Sandhagen, who's a beast. So to break down this fight, we got a striker versus grappler matchup. Both are proficient in all of MMA, but Cory Sandhagen is definitely more of a striker. Umar is on the fence between a grappler and a striker. But I think he gets a lot of unwarranted hype because he's training with Habib, And that's why I say it's similar, again, to the Ikram Whitaker thing, because now you got anyone who's training in Dagestan or from Dagestan, who's projected to be this absolute monster. And the reality is a lot of them actually aren't. Islam and Habib obviously are crazy, and I'm not saying I don't think Umar could be ranked. I'm not saying I don't think he could be in the top 10. I'm not even saying I don't think he could be champion one day, but I think this is way too quick of a jump up for him. Getting into the actual fight breakdown, I think we are going to see a heavy grappling approach from Umar in the first 1 to 2 rounds. I think he will get Sandhagen down, and I think he'll be able to do some damage down there because Umar is very big for bantamweight. So is Cory Sandhagen, but he's not as strong. Umar and Cory are around the same height. I think Cory may be a little bit taller than Umar is, but Umar's got that Dagestani juice, right? I mean, he's ripped, and he's a very strong grappler. But also, I've been very unimpressed with his performances. He's been fighting no-names, and he got caught. I believe it was in his last fight by a no-name. And I know that can happen to anyone, but you just don't see that type of stuff from Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen is only losing to the top guys. And it's not like he's getting destroyed. The only fight where he actually got fucked up was against Aljamain. And that was, I think, 2019, so 5 years ago now. And he's improved a lot since then. On the feet for this fight, I don't think it's too close. I'm not going to count Umar out, obviously. He is a good striker. I've seen him throw some crazy wheel kicks and spinning back kicks and stuff like that. But not a lot of them are landing. I think Cory is miles above him in the striking. I am a little bit worried about the grappling front, but I think it is something that Sandhagen can fight off. He's improved his grappling a lot, especially since the Aljamain loss. I remember he said he went into a very dark place after that, and I think he's really been working towards improving that. And Cory's in his prime right now. I think he's 33 years old, 32, 33. And with so many fights under his belt already against the top guys, I think we're going to see his veteran status pull through here. And I think we're going to see a Sandhagen win. I'm not sure if he's going to knock him out. I would go decision if you're going to be betting. But I think he's got the gas tank. I think he's got the chin. And I think he's got the anti-grappling ability to hold off Umar. If you guys are still watching, I just want to say thank you very much for sticking with me through this video. And if you guys enjoyed the content, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want to, if you disagree with me, if you want to drop anything in the comments, please do. Helps me out a lot. And I cannot thank you guys enough for the support on the first video. So everyone enjoy the card this weekend. Grab some beers with your friends. Watch it. And we'll see you next week for another card breakdown. Thank you guys.